What's up guys? Have you ever been building in Minecraft and made something that looks like this, but the inside of it looks like this? Well, in today's video, I'm going to show you how to take something like this and turn it into a beautiful interior.
Alright, well, with that being said, let's get right into step 1. Now, step 1 is the hardest step. We have to take our completely blank canvas and change it up so that we can actually fit usable rooms into our weird shape. Now, I'm going to pause here because I feel like I might have lost some people with that. So instead, I'm going to throw it over to me back when I was actually building this to explain it a little bit better. You can skip to this timestamp on the screen if you already understand and want to move on to the next section.
Alright, so in front of us we have our two houses. One that has a completely furnished interior over here, but right next to it we have another build, very similar style, but this one is completely empty. So we're going to go through, at least the first step for me, is figuring out what my room layout is going to look like. So for this one, we have what I can see is one room back here. I can see a wall here and a wall here making this square right here. Grab a few blocks like this, and we'll make that be one room back there. So the other thing we're going to have to think about, since this is a two-story build, we're going to have to think about how we're going to get up to the second floor. Now, there's a few options here. So we could, in theory, place a false wall here and have, let's get some stairs. Get some stairs going up like this. And even compact the staircase really small so it gets up to the level very quickly. I could see this working. The other option is we do something with this awkward little jut out section that it makes it a little bit difficult whenever you get in. Or we could have this be where the door to the kitchen is, or maybe something like this. So we have like an archway here. This is all rough design. So we have an archway over here. You walk through here, there could be a table here, and then you walk into the kitchen. On my smaller builds, I try not to exceed too wide on an interior door, because it just, if you get too much bigger than that, you're not really separating things out. So maybe we'll also have to do something back here. So I'm thinking that this could be an office, as this was designed to look like an inn of some kind. So I think we're going to go ahead and draw up wall, let's say about maybe there. Or I can probably come up even closer, honestly. Maybe here. So we're left with this weird little room back here, but I think we can make this work. So I think this is going to be our layout for the first floor. I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick, and I'll catch you guys after that. Alright guys, so I think I've just finished up the first floor's floor plan. There's a few things to note here. So right here in the kitchen, we go down a block. This is because this roof line out here is a little bit low, meaning that whenever we put a door here, it's not going to be able to be raised up like the front is. We're going to have to drop the floor by a block to make the doorway fit along this back wall. The other interesting part was this back corner room right here. Initially we had, I think, this was what it looked like before I did anything to it, and I realized that this little 2x2 wide back corner is just a little bit awkward. So we're just going to put the walls right here. This also gives you a little bit cozier of a space where you're not looking at this moss-ridden back wall too much. I think it makes a little bit more sense in the kitchen and out in the front wall right here. Obviously you can change it. There's a few tricks you can do for that too. But this will allow us to, we'll have a much smaller space in here, but we can have space behind here. The good part about having a double thick wall is your ability to punch out blocks, put like bookshelves inside the wall, put paintings back here, and place stuff in front of it. There's a lot of options for things that you can do whenever, you know, you have a double thick wall. So double thick walls are a great, useful tool to put into your builds, especially when you have awkward corners like these that make it just a little bit more difficult to plan for. All right, so the next idea we're going to tackle here is this connection point between the floor on this level and the ceiling here. So because this is a smaller build, we're going to be a little bit more cramped here. We're probably only going to have 3 high, maybe 4 on the ceiling above us, which means that we're not going to be able to, you know, double layer our ceiling so that we have, you know, one type of block up here and a different type of block on the ceiling down below. So we're going to have to get a little bit creative with something that looks good from both the top and the bottom. Now, one thing I really like doing for this is getting trapdoors, slabs, and stripped logs. Now, sometimes this gets a little bit finicky, but that's okay. We're going to see how this goes just as a first try. As you can see, there's a few different log bits on the sides here, which might make things a little bit difficult as we pass by them, but we'll just see how that goes. So we're going to start off with this little bit of section right here. So we know our floor is going to be at this block level on top of these walls. So one thing I want to do is try to get some logs running all the way across. We're going to have one coming here. Okay, I think this should work fine for this. So we're going to have logs running all the way across this. We want to make sure that this staircase is still fully accessible. But now that once we get up to here, take slabs and run slabs in between these logs. Now this is going to create our floor for this level up here. Ooh, see, this is what I'm talking about, where it gets finicky a little bit. You get things like this happening where your slabs are just a little too high. So one thing we can do, if we can pull this log up through here, I think we can put a slab here, not a slab, trapdoor there. If we put a trapdoor, this now works fine. And we're gonna switch over to strip spruce wood instead of the log. It's just better to not see the face of that log. So do that there. We'll make sure we'll patch up any bits of that. And so this is going to be where our staircase comes out. Make sure that trapdoor lines up with the block itself. And then we'll keep going with this. We'll pull this next one out to here. And the next log. And so on and so forth. So maybe you can speed this part up in post. Alright, so now our second floor is done, and you may think, well great, now we have our second floor, but it makes our first floor look a little bit weird. As you can see, this now gets a little bit more cramped, and we have these different gap blocks that just don't look right. So this is one of my favorite tricks, to basically make a too thick ceiling and floor without actually using too thick blocks. So because these slabs are on the top side of this block, we can actually place trapdoors under them. And placing trapdoors under them all of a sudden makes it so that we have the same effect on the ceiling as we did on the floor, but just inverted, and I don't know what the word is. I guess it's still not obtrusive to the space here, if that makes any sense. I don't know if that is worded weird. But now we have ceiling on the bottom layer right here, and we also have ceiling up here. If I was doing this on my own, and not just doing this for a video, I would slide this over one block. I'd have this be a slab layer, and the log would be next to it. We just shift everything over by one block. This allows me to have a light source in the center block of a room, like this, or this one's 4 wide, so it doesn't matter here. But sometimes it gets a little weird if I want to have something central. So But that is the first floor done.
Alright, now that the bottom floor walls are in place, I think I'm going to move on to the actual interior work of the bottom, and then after that I think I'm going to do a time lapse of what I did for the top, just as a secondary example of how I do my interiors.
Alright, so the first thing that I'm going to start with on this interior is going to be the kitchen floor. So we've got these walls that are kind of mossy, stony, so we're going to want to do something stone on the floor. I think I'm going to tackle the kitchen by itself first. So we want to have something to show that it's a kitchen, of course. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a smoker, maybe a furnace, and definitely some trap doors, campfires, slabs, stairs. Alright, so we'll see what we can work with here. We got a pretty decently large space. We want to keep kind of this walkway open, if that makes any sense. So I think if we're going to have a table, it's going to be back here, maybe an oven in this area. So I might just do like double smoker right there. Maybe place a campfire underneath one of them. Also gives a little bit of lighting. Actually, it doesn't, never mind. So we have a little bit of smoke coming out of there, just to give it some life. And then I think on this side, we're going to put a table like this, for whoever to, you know, cook it and stuff like that. Actually, maybe not. Maybe we're going to put a small table like this, and then we're going to take a shovel. We're going to stack some campfires, put them out, and then put 2 trapdoors over the top, and then we'll take some doors, place them like that, and now we have a little bit of a food pantry in here. We can't place anything on this block, but we can place something on the block next to it. I'm thinking something that can look like food. Now I'm struggling to figure out what I want to put here. Maybe some kind of sea pickle, something like that. Maybe turtle eggs. Turtle eggs. Oh, those are good. Yeah, that'll work. So that, you know, I just had to come up with something there. I think turtle eggs should be fine for that. But it's a little bit dark in here. So what I want to do is I want to add a little stair right here. And take a lantern. Just throw a lantern right there. It'll give light to the whole space. Make sure that you can see in here. I think this is pretty cozy. One thing we can also do is grab some chains and some pots, some flower pots. And this only works if you have the space for it. I'm not sure if I have as much as I would want for this, but actually we might have to move the lantern and then put these here, and then grab something like maybe mushroom and a fern. That it's not going to obstruct the walkway very much because our walkway is this diagonal. So you can put something directly here because there's no point in walking on these blocks from the entrance, if that makes sense. So your walkways are what you want to avoid putting stuff in, which is why putting something here is completely okay. So even there, I think because of that placement, maybe we get rid of this and then place the lantern there. So we have our smoker, a little table next to it. We could make, you know, another hanging pot. You can even vary these by, like, you know, one more block. Have them hanging from the ceiling. I think it looks pretty good to do this. We can get some crimson roots. I got rid of the pot somehow. Grab a pot again. The nether blocks are very good for this. It makes it look like herbs or spices or something like that. And then I think over here, I want to put something up here. So I think we'll take out that trapdoor, and we will get, what is the nether vine called? I saw it a second ago. Weeping vine. We'll get some weepy vine and just put it up like that. This is as hard as it'll grow, but it also kind of looks like we're growing something from the ceiling in here. And so I think this should work as the full interior for this build right here, this little kitchen right here. So next up, we're just gonna kind of move out into the hallway here. I think we're gonna want to pick up our stairs again. And I think a big table back here should be good. We can maybe even like do it as trapdoors, give it more of the flow. Stair right there should be the chair. A few signs. One there, and one there. And this gives us a perfect spot to have add a little bit more greenery into this build. We're going to get, what should I do to, I think we'll get a cauldron. Cauldrons are pretty good for plants. It still matches the kind of tone and color we have over here. We'll get some leaves. I will go with maybe acacia leaves. Acacia leaves are pretty great. So yeah, we'll go with acacia leaves there. Just something to add a little bit of pop of color to this. This corner wasn't going to be used for anything really anyways, because remember, our line is going to look like this as we're walking through. So there's really no point in not using this space. Most of the time whenever I am building an interior for a smaller house like this, I want almost every block in the room to have something on it, whether it be a carpet, a trapdoor, a stair, something just to liven up what you're looking at. So in this, I think we're just going to put a lantern in the corner on the desk. Maybe we can pull out like an item frame and a paper, something like that. And I think that should be good for the table. Maybe we'll put a flower pot in the corner. This is all about experimentation. Put a flower pot here, and we can put, I don't know, what should I put in here? Maybe my favorite flower, blue orchid in there. That'll look good. That should be good for the table right there. So now we have this complete section right here done on the interior of this build. Everything looks nice and good to go. All right, so next bit we're gonna get to, we're going to move on to this room back here, which is going to be a little bit more difficult, which is kind of exciting. We get a little bit more of a challenge. These two seem pretty easy to figure out. This Tetris puzzle is going to be more difficult. So I think the first thing I want to do is immediately knock these out. So I think, yes, we have space up there. I think I'm gonna grab some bookshelves, both normal ones and chiseled ones, just because it is good to have both as variety. I'll throw these like this, maybe a few books like that. Okay, maybe there. Okay, so this is going to be how we're going to make this space appear bigger than it is. So this is going to be our wall with a bookshelf. Then we're going to make our table like this. So we've only used one block of our six that we've only used 2 blocks of the 6 that we have, but we've already added so much depth to the space. So even what you can do here is now we can go in again, we can take more flower pots, place something right there, and then find a flower or something. It's good to have something there to pull the eye, some little pop of color. So now we have a bit of our study, it's a desk, something right there. And since this is going to be like, I don't know, I think this is where the innkeeper could live in theory. So we'll get a bed, probably a brown bed. They look like they'd rock a brown bed. And then here's where we might get a little bit difficult to light. Candles might actually be even better in this. Let's see if we can get some white candles instead. White candles and then a flint and steel. That's better. Okay, so we're going to adjust to this since I completely forgot about candles as a thing to light this up. Because clearly I'm a dummy-dum and forgot what these are for. These are for atmosphere. They look so good. And I just forget to use them because I never get them in survival because they take so much farming. But I think this really works for in here. But this room is now done, and I think it looks perfectly fine as it is. We have light, we have decoration in here. I think it's good to go. So now we have done the entire first floor. We've got our kitchen in here, a little bit of a table and desk out here. Inside here, bookshelf, bed, little painting in the background. Everything seems to be in order. We just have this little bit of space in here that might need a little bit of filling. So I'm gonna go to the painting menu again. I think Sunset is the best. Yeah, Sunset's the best painting by far. So we're gonna throw that up there. We're gonna go for some carpet. And I think, what's a good color for this carpet? I think we want brown and maybe orange, maybe red. Red and brown, that could work well. So I think we'll go like this. Maybe that. I don't like that pattern. Maybe this. Maybe brown is just a bad color for carpets. I'm not liking any of those. What about this? I think I can get something here. Okay, I think that should work. So what we're going to do is now we're going to just give this a little bit of depth. We're going to trade our carpet for wool. This just adds a little bit of something. It just adds a little bit of depth to this carpet, makes it look like it's wrinkled a little bit, just enough to make a difference. So I think that we need a little bit more lighting right here. That can be solved very easily. We can get a trap door, put it right by the door in this little section right here. You're not going to be coming in and immediately taking a hard left. At least I don't think you should. Yeah, you're going to walk and look around, you're going to take the stairs. So you're not going to hit this trap door right here. So we can just take a few of our candles, light them up, and call it a day there. So the entire bottom floor is now pretty much decorated. I think I could in theory add something else. Maybe along this there could be something. But this is just a preliminary design. This could be changed in the future. So now we're going to head upstairs and try to tackle this mess.
Alright, now that the downstairs is finished, I'm going to go through the time-lapse of what I did upstairs. It's just going to be a lot of the same concepts that I was showing downstairs, just done again with a little bit more of a room, bedroom kind of feel. Kind of like we did in that second room, but a little bit bigger space, just a few more ideas I was able to show in these. There were a few tricks here that I decided to employ for these smaller builds. These are usually universal concepts for builds that you can't usually build big furniture in. So one thing I do is I use localized lighting. Now, this is only really useful for small builds, but whenever you have low ceilings in small rooms, it's easier to put some sort of light source on a table or on a countertop and not have it hanging from the ceiling. Whenever it's hanging from the ceiling, it makes it a little bit more obstructive when you're walking around with a low ceiling, and it'll feel more claustrophobic. The other thing we used was double thick walls. Double thick walls allowed you to get more detail in a small space. So that 2x3 room we looked at, that one we were able to cram way more detail into by having those double thick walls that we could utilize. And the third thing is just trial and error. I cut out a bit of this where I just I had an idea that didn't work out, but this probably took me about 30 minutes to an hour to make. It's just trial and error. Try something out, see if it works. If it doesn't, try something else. Sometimes you get it right on the first try, a lot of times you don't, but the more you do it, the better you'll get at it. The first one is never going to look good, but that's why we do it, isn't it? Alright guys, well, if you liked the video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to see more tutorials like this, I will be sure to make some more if you guys enjoy it, but that's it from me. See you later.